Good afternoon. We're going to begin in just about a minute. All right, it is 3:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Christina Schaefer. I'm one of the on-staff instructors for HAR. I teach a lot of our MLS classes, technology, social media, that kind of stuff. So if you ever have questions about any HAR class, you can feel free to reach out to me. It's just Christina with no H at har.com, so Christina at har.com. I'll put my information up at the end for you guys to see as well. I also put the very first comment on this live. I put our MLS Quality Assurance Department information as well. And so I put their phone number on there. A lot of people don't realize that we actually do have a call center at HAR specifically for MLS. So all of your matrix and realist questions, they can help you with that. So reach out to them if you need some additional help after today. Today we're going to be covering quick searches. Quick searches, it's something that you need to be doing in Matrix all the time. It's one of the first things we teach you guys how to do in the Matrix classes. But there has been a small update to the quick search form that I want to share with you guys today. And for anybody who hasn't had the opportunity to take a Matrix class, this will all be new to you and hopefully be helpful to you as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I have Matrix pulled up here, and I'm going to go ahead and start with a search. So if you see the search tab, when you hover your mouse over search, you'll see every property type listed there. So I see, single family, townhome, condo, rentals. You also have all properties. So let's say maybe I wanted to search more than one property type in the same search. Maybe I'm wanting to search townhome, condo, and single family in the same search, for example. I can select all properties and then do that. You also have agent and office searching on here as well. So when you hover your mouse over search, every property type is there. All properties, agent, and office are all there as well. So in this case, I'm going to use single family. Now there are two forms that you can use when you're running a search. You have the quick search and you have the classic search form. The biggest difference between the two is the layout of the form. Most of our agents do prefer the quick search form, and we're obviously using the quick search form today because that's what the title of this live is using the quick search. But really the biggest difference between the two is the layout. And I think the reason a lot of people like this quick search form layout better than the classic is, it's the most frequently used fields. They're up here towards the top. They're really easy to find. It's nice and sectioned off as well. The classic search form, like I mentioned, it does have pretty much the same fields, but it's just not as structured as the quick search form. So we're obviously going to use the quick search form today. So starting with the quick search form, for any of you that never used Matrix before, maybe you've never taken a Matrix class, this is all brand new to you. A couple things that I want to point out. Status, the default is for it to have active, option pending, pending continue to show, and pending. If I wanted to uncheck to only search active, I can absolutely do that. So I've unchecked and now I'm only searching active, right? So I can make that change, or maybe I want to add in solds because I'm looking for comps. I can check that button as well. Now there are ways to customize this form. For example, I've had people say to me, I don't like searching the pendings. I like to only start my search with active. Well, I could uncheck the pendings, just leave active checked, and then if you see over here on the right-hand side of the screen, we have a little gear icon. If I were to click that gear, I can then set the currently selected search criteria as my starting default. So I wouldn't really recommend doing it for anything else beyond that. I don't want to go in and put in a geo market area and then set that as my default, because now every time I run a search, I'm only searching that geo market area. But for status, if you're somebody who likes to only search active to start, you know, that is an option because it'll just only pull up active. Okay. So on this quick search form, we have several numeric fields: price, DOM, property information, and street number. These are all numeric fields. Now the numeric fields, there's a few things you need to do with them depending on what you're searching, okay? I'm going to use beds as my example. Let's say I'm looking for a property with a minimum of 4 bedrooms. I'll put in 4 plus. If I'm looking for 4 and only 4 bedrooms, I'll just put in 4. If I'm looking for a maximum of 4 bedrooms, I could put 4 minus. So that would mean it could be a 1, 2, 3, but no more than 4 bedroom home. Okay. And then if I'm looking for a range, let's say 4 to 5 bedrooms, I'll put 4-5. Okay. So on any of these numeric fields, price, DOM, these property information fields, and street number, this is the process you're going to use. So let's say I'm looking for a property in the $300,000 to $400,000 price range. Well, I'm going to put in 300-400. Okay, if I was looking over 500,000, I would put 500 plus. Under 800,000, I would do 800 minus. Okay, so in any of these numeric fields, this is going to be how you type in that information. Okay, a couple other things on this form that we need to discuss. On location, none of these fields are new. We had these in previous MLSs, but if you are unfamiliar with something here, for example, geo market area, which is becoming an increasingly popular way to search, if you're not familiar with what is available, you can actually click on these little information boxes and it will pop up a window so you can see all of the options there. But it is pretty helpful to search in this way. You'll see that Sugar Land, for example, you have Sugar Land East, North, South, and West. Okay, so you have a lot of, they're more like neighborhoods and subdivisions. So that's how we do that. Just like we did in previous MLS platforms, if I'm searching for more than one of something, let's say I'm looking in 2 different zip codes, I'll just separate those with a comma. So if I was looking in 77058 and 77059, I would just separate those with a comma. And I can also search by schools. So the school data that's in here, this data is owned and updated by HAR. So it's actually reliable data. So maybe my client doesn't really care what subdivision they're in. They just really want to be zoned to Clear Springs High School. Well, I can just put in Clear Springs High School, and I see in the bottom left-hand corner that I have 154 matches. Or maybe they want to be zoned to Clear Springs or Clear Creek, one of those two, right? I could put both in. Or another option, let's say they want to be in League City, but they don't want to be zoned to one of these schools. Well, I could put not Clear Creek. So they're in League City, but not zoned to Clear Creek High School. So you can use the or the not on the schools. You can also click on the information box next to school to see a full list of schools available there as well. Now we get into something brand new. This was just updated recently. It's been about a week, but they've changed the way that you can search for rooms in here. Excuse me. So let's say I'm looking for a property that has a master bed on the first floor, but I also want another bedroom on the first floor. So if I click more, I can select bedroom as well, first floor, right? So now I'm able to search these two things in the same search. And you can see it's doing work down here, trying to figure out how many matches I have. I have over 5,000 matches right now. So this room section is new and really helpful. I mean, if I'm looking for a property that has, you know, a garage apartment, right? I can add that in. So I can add all of these different things in that I'm looking for. Just remember that the number of matches may vary based on whatever you put in. Also remember that sometimes people don't put in the room location. So I may be looking for 2 beds on the first floor, but if the listing agent didn't put that in appropriately, then I won't find it if they didn't put that in. So just keep that in mind. Also, the room features are here as well. So if I'm looking for, you know, a property that has a formal dining room, well, I can go and search for formal there on dining room. Okay. So let me take just a quick second to see if I have any questions coming up. So I do see a question from Marcy about the Harvey Field being removed. They did remove that at the end of the year. When they decided to add that right after Hurricane Harvey, it was added as a temporary field. It wasn't ever going to be a permanent field. So they did remove it on December 31st. Yeah. Searching on public remarks. Let me show you that in just a second, Steve, asking about public remark searching. Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so let's keep moving here. Property characteristics. So these fields are all still here. The only thing that's missing now is the room description, because they've obviously added this new rooms feature here, so that's really helpful. So, you know, anything else that I'm looking for, whether it be I'm searching for foreclosures, I'm searching for particular waterfront features, or whatever the case is, you have these options here. Remember that not all of these fields are required MLS fields. So I'm not required to put energy features, for example. So if you're searching for a property with specific energy features, just know that the listing agent isn't required to put that in. So you might be missing matches, you know, if they didn't put that in. Now, searching remarks, and Steve actually had a question about this. So searching the remarks, you can actually click on these question marks, and they do explain how to use them. In Tempo, for any of you that use Tempo, we had percentage signs, which were wildcards. Those percentage signs have been replaced with asterisks in Matrix. Okay, so let's say I'm looking for, in the public remarks, I want to see the word hardwood in there, right? If I put asterisk, hardwood, asterisk, it's now says I have 162 matches, but also look at this. If I put no space, now I have 3,447. So by putting the asterisks on either side of something, I'm telling the system that it must contain this word, right? But then remember, everybody types it in differently, okay? Or they could potentially type it in differently. So I can search multiple, right? Comma, hard, space, wood, asterisk, comma, asterisk, HDWD, right? Or hard dash wood. I've seen those as well. So, you know, just remember that you might have to search multiple. A lot of times people ask me, well, how would I search the realtor remarks for investment properties, or as is, or fixer upper? Well, I would need to search all of those terms. Because remember, people can type it in different ways. Okay, I may say investment property, you may say fixer upper, or something like that, right? So just keep that in mind. Alrighty, so at the bottom of my search form, I can add additional fields into the form. If you see, I've added front door faces on here as an example. Just remember, with the additional fields, most of them are not required fields. So front door faces, I have it on here. I can search front door faces east or not east, right? But if the listing agent didn't specifically put that the front door faces north, south, and west, and I've put not east, well, that means that I might not find anything, right? So just keep that in mind. Okay, and if I click add/remove, you'll see where you can add additional fields. There's a long list of available options, builder name, you know, things like that. Just remember, if the listing agent didn't put it in, I might not find it. Yeah, Marcy, you can definitely use the remarks for flooded. Just remember that some people put in the public remarks, some people put it in the realtor remarks. So maybe I would search the public remarks for flood or something like that. But just remember, anything that has the word flood in it, whether it did flood, did not flood, it's finding everything that says flood. So you might want to get a little more specific with that if you just put flood. Okie doke. So I'm going to put in some criteria, and we'll see what we get on our results and answer a few other questions. So let's say in this example, I'm looking in, we'll do League City since that was my example earlier. So I'm doing the League City geomarket area. If you see in the bottom left-hand corner, it says I have 525 matches. Love that live count down there. Really helps, especially when you're looking for comparables. You know, you see exactly how many matches you have, so it's really helpful. And I'm going to do the $300,000 to $400,000 price range. So I'll do 300-400. Now I have 164 matches. And I need a minimum of 4 bedrooms. So I'm going to put 4 plus. I have 123 matches. And we want a private pool. So I'm going to put private pool, yes. So now I have 14 matches, really narrowed it down. Okay, so I see that I have 14 matches. Now I have 2 ways that I can view my 14 matches. I can see them on the map. I can also see them on the results grid. You see map and results down at the bottom of the form. You also see it up here at the top. It doesn't matter which one you click on. It's going to take you to the same map and the same result. So I can click up here or at the bottom. So I'm going to click on map just so you guys can see the map really quick. Now we will do a separate Facebook Live specifically on the map. So we'll spend, you know, our entire time focusing on that. On the next one. Okay, so at this point, I'm looking at the map, but let's say maybe I wanted to go back and modify my criteria. I'm not going to click the back button at the top of my browser. Okay, I'm not going to click the back button. I'm going to click criteria. Okay. By clicking that back button, you're telling Matrix that you want to refresh your screen, which might not be what you want to do. Now, if you accidentally do click the back button, Matrix has a really great feature called recent searches that will let you just pull it back up. So it's not gone forever. You don't have to start all over again. I could just go to recent searches and pull it back up. But I would just try to avoid using the back button in Matrix altogether. Criteria, map, results. Use these 3 buttons to toggle your way back and forth between these screens, okay? So there's my criteria I entered that I can modify if I want to. There's my map, and here is my results grid, okay? Now from here, I can view these properties. I can see different attachments that are on here. These little icons here, if you're not sure what they are, if you hover your mouse over them, Matrix tells you what they are. So this first one is to view photos, view map. This is to see the realist tax record for that property. This is to see attachments. So if I'm looking for seller's disclosure, survey, list of upgrades, MUD information, that's where I'll look. The little alarm clock is a property archive report. So if I want to see the detailed history of any time this property's been listed in the MLS, that's where I would go to look. And then lastly, the MLS number. If I click on that, that will pull up the agent full report with tabs. Okay, agent full with tabs. So from there, again, I can see, you know, photos. I can go scroll down and read, you know, agent remarks and public remarks and all of that good stuff. See all the information about this property. We will cover working with results in a separate live, but just so you can kind of see, since logically our next step is to work with these results, I just want to show you that from here, let's say I like this property, I want to share it with my buyer, or maybe I'm looking at comps and this is a good comp, or whatever the case is. I can make a selection right here. So if you see that little checkbox, I can click on that and make a selection. Now I could click next and go view the next property, right? So you can kind of see whether, again, I'm looking for a buyer or I'm looking at comps or whatever the case is. I can use the previous, next, and the selections to kind of go through and make my selections. And it's helpful because I don't forget which are the ones I liked or which are the ones I didn't like, right? So at this point, again, we want to avoid clicking the back button whenever possible. Plus, if I were to click the back button, I'm on property number 6. It's going to make me click it 6 times to get back to that grid view we saw earlier, right? That's not very efficient. But in the center of the screen, if you see, it says Agent Single Line Display, okay? If I click on that, that takes me back to this grid view we were looking at earlier. So this grid view is actually called the Agent Single Line, okay? So at any time, if you're looking at an agent full report, if you click Single Line Display right there in the top center of the screen, it's going to bring you back to this view. Now I see my properties that I have checked, and I can work with the results from there with my button bar, okay? We will do another live just focused on all of the features of the button bar, but just so you can kind of see a little preview of that, or a little outline of that, the button bar is this long blue bar at the bottom. You have actions, refine, save, and carts. So actions are obviously all actions that I can now perform to my selected properties. So if I want to email, print, text them to somebody, if they were comps and I want to do a CMA, whatever the case is, get driving directions, I can do all of that from actions. Refine, I have a couple options here. Primarily want to focus on narrow and discard. Narrow would mean I have these properties selected and I want to get rid of the rest. Discard means I have these properties selected because I want to discard them, okay? So they have two separate meanings there. Save, and this is what we talked about last week, was new auto email, but under save you see new saved search, new auto email, and speed bar shortcut. We cover the speed bar shortcuts in the Matrix Overview class part 2, the customization class. But if I want to save this search as a template or shortcut for later, I can do new save search. If I want to set up an auto email and I want my client to get notified anytime there's something new that matches this criteria, I would click there to start that process. Carts, lastly, carts here. Carts are an organizational tool in Matrix. They allow you to set properties aside, kind of like in a folder, for use at a later time. Okay. Any option to display or toggle between different results. So I showed the criteria map results, but between different results, if you see here where it says display, right now I'm looking at the agent single line. Maybe I want to look at the agent thumbnail, for example. Now I have this. Or if I want to see agent full report, or if I want to see the client full, or whatever the case is. Yeah, so you can toggle between different views here. Owner financing search. I think that's a field that you would have to add to the search criteria, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here. If I click add. Oh. If you email me that, Americo, I'll look that up for you specifically, but I can't remember offhand right now. I'm sorry. Okay, let's see if there are any other questions. Can you search for furnished leases? Yes, that's one of the options, Beatrice. When you go to search rentals, you'll see different fields. Based on each property type, you'll see different options there. So furnished is an option when you go to search rentals. Okay, I'm going to put up my contact information, so if anybody, my email address is right there highlighted for you. If anybody has additional questions after today, you're welcome to reach out to me. Mimi just asked, can we text the list? Yes, you can. So one of the options on that button bar that we were looking at is text listings. On actions, we have text listings. So if I want to send a text message of these 5 listings to somebody, I can use that button right there. Yeah. Okay, yeah, if you found it on classic mode, then that means that's one that you need to add into the quick search form, because the quick search form doesn't have, there's a couple that are on that classic that are not on quick, but the layout is just so much better on quick. So you might just need to add it on there, Americo. Okie dokie. So let me put my information back up. If you have any additional questions after today, I gave you guys the MLS Quality Assurance phone number and their extension 376, and my email address is up on the screen for you guys right now. So if you want to reach out to me individually, you can help me or reach out to me there too. I'm sorry. I was trying to read a question at the same time I was speaking and it didn't work. It's confusing to be searching for waterfront properties and water views. Comes up also. If you send me a suggestion, we can look into that. JK, if you email that to me, Christina@hr.com, we can look into that. If I hit CMA, would I use it just for those properties? Yeah. So if you select properties and then click that CMA button, it's assuming that those are the comparables that you want to use. I tried text, but yeah, so that's what it sends them. It's a link to view those 4 listings. So when you send a text message, it is a link to view the 4 listings on har.com. And you're welcome. To those of you saying thank you. Thank you guys for joining me. We will be back here, here being wherever you are right now, next Monday. And next Monday, we're going to be talking about the speed bar. The speed bar is right up here. It's a really, really neat feature in Matrix. Can save you some time. So that's what we'll be talking about next Monday. So we'll see you guys then. Hope you all have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.